Simpsons Battle Royale named Bart Knight. That's a big idea. That could be $1 million idea right there. Welcome to the chat. Let me... I'm trying to figure out how to get a little window with my chat on it. Customization, analytics, copyright, how do I get chat window? Can I blow this out? I don't know. Poop Battle Royale named Fart Night. I think if it's poop, it's gonna be Shark Night, no? Because there's some shit in the fart. Hello, everybody. I always stream on YouTube because I think it's easier for people to do like ad blocking stuff, or if they just like have YouTube Premium, they don't see ads. I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's more common that people get an ad-free experience on YouTube streaming versus Twitch. And you also get like automatic VOD replays. The like replay viewing experience in YouTube is way better. It gets treated like a real video. I'm not like going to pretend like I'm a real streamer, but I like having that stuff, you know? Perry is always in chat though. Love to have it. Very excited to do some draft review with everybody. I can't wait for you all to deeply disagree with all of the ratings that I have. We'll see how it all goes. No, not what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to do... No. Look at me trying to use a computer. I want playlist. Yes, that's what I want. Drinking Coca-Cola. We're gonna put on some more intense music. I love this song specifically from Legends ZA. I fuck with this song a lot. Need to be subbed on Twitch to have published VODs for replay ever. Be stream. Yeah, I'm not streaming 12 hours, so that's crazy. Not seeing a what do they call it? Subathon happening in my future. Let me know how like the audio levels are too. If the music volume could be a little lower, a little higher compared to my voice. My voice is loud enough too. It's been a while since I've streamed, so I don't know if the levels are correct. But I'll give it, what time is it? 9:02. I'll give it a few minutes before I actually start the draft review. But I have all my ratings. I have all my opinions, my thoughts, written down in slideshow form. A lot of interesting teams. I didn't really like get a full view of all of the teams until I sat down and decided to write my thoughts out. There's some good stuff, and there's some interesting teams and decisions that happened here that I'm excited to talk about. And I'm specifically very excited to talk about Perry's team, of course, which deviated greatly from the team that we once shared together. No hard feelings or anything. I'm gonna move my camera over a little bit. Let's see, because I'm often like looking to the side anyway to look at chat. You can say there are some shitters. Yo, there's some big shitters. There's really just a couple of big shitters, honestly. I expect S+ tier. I really don't remember off the top of my head. I have like the list in the slideshow of what everybody's rating ended up being. And I'll like show the whole slideshow in order. Flutter lame. Yeah, real shit. Who picks Flutter? You pick Flutter first? Come on. Yeah, that I did notice a good amount of teams that just like really like I feel like with a draft like we talked a lot about this in the Discord, but like having a single S tier pick really weights a lot of the responsibility of the offense on a team to that S tier. So there's some teams that picked a bit more supportive, or Pokemon that like, you see, at least in the like normal non-draft meta, as like more supportive or helping to help set up another Pokemon or do speed control. You see a lot of those picks, and you don't really. I don't feel like with only one S tier pick that you can like really afford very often to run your S tier as a supportive or speed control kind of Pokemon. But that's just me. What's live? Didn't you draft no offense last season? Hello, chat. I'm glad to get so many viewers. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about this. This is my first time in this draft league. I've only ever played in CPDL, and I did one Gen 8 draft league a few months ago. Were you one of the Roaring Moon drafters? Where's the other one? Yeah, Nikki. Yeah, Tailwind, like, you just don't get Tailwind out of Roaring Moon, so, like, alright, I'll talk more. I'm getting ahead of myself, you're baiting me. No spoilers. You can all say hello to my Shuckle beer glass. I don't know if you can really see it, but yeah, you can kind of see it. Etched in there. Favorite Pokemon. Like I said, I've never been in a draft league with any of you guys, except for, like, I know Figgy, Mr. Amazing, Perry, of course. I might be missing somebody, but those are all people that have been in CPDL with me before, so glad to be playing with you guys again. You're not the only Amon I care about. Chiyu. Chiyu's really good in draft league, can't lie with that. Future Tailwind Moon, 32 on the team, don't do damage. I mean, well, we got Foul Play, of course, on Sableye, no? Golduck, the real offensive threat of the team? No. Alright, I think it's time to get started with the actual draft league review. Alright, so, good timing with the music here. Welcome to my draft review. I'm Dan. I'm in the league as Virtual Dan, because my last name starts with V. I have a lot of my favorite Pokemon here on the side. A lot of Pokemon I've used in Draft League before, like Tangrowth, Politoed, Banette. I don't know if you can even see him there. A lot of cool guys over there. Favorite Pokemon, Porygon 2 and Shuckle. Politoed and Tangrowth also up there. Welcome to my chat. Welcome to my stream. So this is the Season 9 draft review for the VGC Trainer School Draft League. We're running Regulation C, as we all know. So it's definitely going to be a more limited format compared to other ones that I've played before. So I did decide to go with like a school grading scale instead of ranking the teams against each other, because I feel like that's a bit more fair and like accurate to how I think about these teams. Like I don't think ranking them against each other really bears much weight into like how you play is generally much more important. So for the grading scale, we have if you're getting an A- to A+, you're definitely or very likely to make playoffs, and I think there's a chance that you would win the whole thing. I think like A or A+ is more on the has very good chance of winning the whole thing. Yeah, it can really be hard to get the right, and that's so much more easy to be like, oh, look at, you told me I was gonna be in the middle and I'm in the top 4, and I was like, okay, that's, I don't know. I don't want to be argued with. Obviously no one actually does that, but I think in my head people are gonna argue against me, which is why I have the disclaimer at the bottom. I reserve the right to change my mind throughout the course of the draft review and cannot be judged or scrutinized, publicly humiliated for my predictions being incorrect. Just so we all know, ground rules. So then for the B+, I think there's definitely potential to make playoffs. I think that there's some synergy in the team and with good matchups and good play that you could definitely make playoffs. I don't think it's impossible at all. C or C+, I think it's pretty unlikely to make playoffs generally. I don't think generally you have a chance to win the whole thing unless you just play out of your mind or you happen to have really good matchups into the other teams. Something I didn't really go into a whole lot was how each team would play against the other ones in their divisions. If you don't agree with the terms, then you have to stop watching the stream. I'm sorry, that's just the rules. Jake, you're not in the league, so I'm not gonna be hearing from you. Yeah, you have to agree. Otherwise, you can't use the application. Sorry, this is Facebook. And then for C tier, I would say like if you end up in C tier, my opinion is generally that like you could definitely make some trades and get the right pieces that you need to like get to a really good team from there. And I don't think it's impossible that you make playoffs. I think there's like generally work to be done, and I have some suggestions in kind of my notes, and I can talk about that more too. And then if you're in the D tier, like I would generally, like I'm not a betting man. Don't go to Vegas, don't go to things like that, but I would be betting money that you don't make playoffs without a lot of trades. And we do get 5 trades, so there's plenty of opportunity to be doing that. I don't think there's any, like there's no team that's like so beyond repair that you could not even make playoffs. Maybe not like win the whole thing, but there's at least like a couple of good pieces in every team. No one's drafted so terribly that they're ending up with like a totally unworkable piece. So I just want that to be clear. Also, spoiler alert, nobody got A+. Just so you know. So we're going to start with the Ruinous division. It's not my division, it's the other division. So I get the full third-party perspective on this one. And we're going to be starting off with the Wall Street Wailords. I did make this whole slideshow today to be clear, and like literally in the hour before doing this, I was still making edits to it, and I changed kind of the format like mid working on the slideshow, so bear with it if you see any inconsistencies. So we're starting with the Wall Street Wailords, run by Coach Doomdragon. So like kind of running down the Pokemon, first of all, we have Fluttermane as the S tier pick, Corviknight and Rotom Wash as A tiers, Umbreon, Dugtrio, Tauros, Paldea Fighting, so no Aqua or Blaze Breed as the B tier picks, Beartic, Riolu, and Flareon in C tier, and Toedscroll in D tier. Toedscroll, funny Pokemon. Like, honestly, not the worst D tier Pokemon that was on that list. There were things like Larvesta and like Pokemon that just like straight up had no value. Larvesta, I guess, Rage Powder, but still. Obviously, you drafted Fluttermane, so you probably drafted a pretty good team. I think the pieces that go along with Fluttermane, the supporting cast around here, are actually very good. Loki be doing my type advantage speed tier chart for me. I don't have the speed tiers. That's something I forgot to do, but like I could kind of generally see like how fast your team is on the right side there. So I think like overall, this is like despite having Fluttermane and Dugtrio, this is like kind of a slow team. Not really that badly like in need of speed control, but like after Tauros, it really drops off pretty hard. And you have a lot of Pokemon that end up in like that middle speed tier, like too fast for Trick Room and way too slow for Tailwind. Despite that, you do have like a good Tailwind option with Corviknight. You can throw like Covert Cloak on it, and then you can ignore Fake Out. You have a lot of good options there. Like Corviknight, I drafted it. It's a very, very good Pokemon in Draft League. It's a really great physical wall, and then Fluttermane, you can like do anything with it. It's the Swiss Army knife and also the like total damage carry for the whole team. Rotom Wash does some good damage too, but you gotta hit your Hydro Pumps. I think that this team, like, despite the fact that I gave it an A- because it's Fluttermane, it's very top heavy, like I was talking about. Like Fluttermane is your really big damage carry, and Corviknight can do good in those physical matchups, but Rotom's not really doing it for you. Umbreon's definitely not. Dugtrio is like, it just doesn't have that high attack stat, but like Arena Trap's kind of funny and cool. You can Earthquake next to Corviknight. It's not in the super weird middle ground, which is good. I think you're talking about speed, I guess. I don't know, the middle ground. But Beartic, I don't really get it. I know it gets Swift Swim and Slush Rush as its ability. I don't know if there's a third one that's actually good or something. I don't think it really does great on this team unless you're like clicking Rain Dance with Riolu. I think Riolu is probably one of the best C tier Pokemon, despite being an evolved. Prankster is really awesome, and it gets. I know it gets Sunny Day and Rain Dance. I don't know if it gets the other two weathers, but you have Weather Control, you have Coaching, you have all kinds of fun stuff that you can do with it. It doesn't get Fake Out, which I thought for some reason at first, but then I realized that Lucario doesn't get it. You'll be seeing the reason during the season for real. Sure. I mean, like, like you have two good options into like physical matchups and special matchups. Like Fluttermane, obviously really specially bulky. If you invest a lot in HP, you can put that next to like Toadstool for redirection. Rotom Wash can set up light screen and stuff like that. The weird speed tiers routine is super slow. So yeah, like it's very balanced speed tiers here. And you have a couple like really fast, but nothing like really slow. Like if you're running a tail room kind of team, you usually have like one really fast and one really, really slow. And like Beardick's just not a Trick Room sweeper. Like it doesn't have the stats. I guess I don't really know. Like it's let me actually get like a window open here on the side with Showdown so that I can check stats for real. So if I pull up Beardick, 130 attacks, nothing to scoff at really. It's no Ursaluna. It does get like Icicle Crash as its best move, which kind of sucks, but I don't know. Like with Rain and running it like Terra Water Liquidation, I guess Choice Band, that could be kind of cool. But you know, it's not Fluttermane. It's still very top heavy. 130 base attack, yeah, like it's definitely not bad. And like there's a lot of workable pieces on this team, and there's good supporting Pokemon, which makes it A- tier, but it's very top heavy. So like if you're playing against this kind of team, if you take down Fluttermane, generally you're probably gonna win. So then from that perspective, your priority is to take out Fluttermane. From the perspective of Doom Dragon running this team, it's gonna be like protect the captain Fluttermane. Or if you're playing against a very physical heavy team, protect the captain Corviknight. So we'll see. It's like, and also like on a tight matchup perspective, something that you'll notice is a lot of these teams are very fairy weak, and you'll also notice that a lot of these teams actually have really strong fairy types. So I think that something the people who get ratings or maybe feel like they should do trades is maybe try and get some fairy resist, because there's Fluttermanes, there's Sylveons, there's other Pokemon around there too that are really good fairy types. And in a limited format like Reg C, they're what is the word? Not a commodity. Whatever the opposite of that is. Sevomons that would be there almost every week. Yeah. Like if you're not bringing Fluttermane, Corviknight, Rotom Wash every week, there's something going on there. Moving on to the next one, Columbus Crew. We have Mario from Hotel Mario. Very funny name, by the way. Wait, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything that I talked about here. Most Pokemon like the other, obviously very good utility. Yeah, I pretty much covered everything there. So, talking about this team, I gave this one a B-. Something that I'll also talk a lot about is like kind of the basics here, where I have like Fire, Water, Grass, Dragon, Steel, Fairy, Fake Out, Intimidate, Redirection, Tailwind, Trick Room. These are not like, if you don't have these, your team sucks, obviously. I just want to draft with as many options I could. I understand that. Like, having a linear team is not a good thing at all, for sure. I get that. And I don't know if it, like, I still gave it an A-. I think it has a lot of potential, and, like, if you can build teams that protect those captains when you need them, you'll do really well. So, now, talking kind of about this team. This is one of the 2 snow teams that was drafted in this league. This is definitely the more heavy snow team also, which I love, personally. Like, I think Abomasnow is an awesome Pokemon. Ice-Cube is one of my favorites, too. That being said, like, it's a snow team without any kind of Slush Rush, which is not great. Like, you have a Tailwind option with Vivian, you have a Trick Room option with, like, I think Haunter gets Trick Room. It's not just Gengar, but, like, obviously Slowking gets it. So you have some speed control, and you do have some very slow Pokemon. Like, your slow Pokemon aren't really sweepers. Like, Ice-Cube's really not that great, but it's funny, and I love it. And you have a lot of, like, because of all the snow-type, or, like, snow-abusing Pokemon, the Ice-type Pokemon that you've drafted, you're really, really rough on the type matchup spread. It's not the end of the world, always, because we have Terra, and because you can just not bring only Ice types every week. But it's still something to think about. Like, somehow, despite all of the fire weaknesses, you're somehow still neutral on your fire weakness, but you're weak to Fairy, and you're weak to all of these other types that, like, most teams are going to have at least one of. Fighting is also really, like, that's a lot of weaknesses, and only 1 immunity and 2 resistances. Like, you have to really be careful playing this kind of team. However, Baxcalibur with the right supporting pieces can be really good. If Abomasnow can get Aurora Veil up, and if, like, Baxcalibur is sitting in the snow with Aurora Veil, and maybe, like, a crazy Assault Vest Baxcalibur set, you've kind of got this unkillable dragon. Glaceon, like you said, Doom Dragon, really good here too because you could do like, I think it gets, what is it called, Snow Veil or something like that. Glaceon, Snow Cloak. You can like Snow Cloak, or you run Ice Body. Like you could either do like unkillable in that you can't hit it with like Snow Cloak and Bright Powder, or you could run an Ice Body leftovers kind of set and just heal all your damage every single time. Heal all the damage you take every single turn. Tauros also really good on this kind of team because you've got a water type that can switch in on fire moves, with Intimidate too that can help reduce any physical damage that you're planning to take. I don't know what Iron Thorns is really doing here, especially because like the thing that there's not a lot of Pokemon besides like Houndoom and Tauros that hit Steel types. At least for super effective damage, so you've got like not a whole lot of options there. Like, I don't know, Iron Thorns doesn't really help you out a whole lot there. I mean, I get like the Bolt Beam coverage. You have light, you have electric, and you have ice, and you pretty much hit every single type. I just don't see the synergy. Like Iron Thorns just has like stupid bad stats. Like it makes no sense kind of stats. I think it, I don't remember. I feel like the like total is less than Tyranitar somehow. Vibes' team are good though. Yeah, like these are cool Pokemon that I like personally. I really hope that Mario, you bring Ice-Q at least 1 week so that I can see that happen. But like Baxcalibur with the right supporting cast can be really strong. I just don't think it's like it wasn't as high impact of a pick as something like Flutter Mane where you can really build your whole team behind it. But if you're going to build a team around Baxcalibur, Snow's not the worst way to go, for sure. And you have, like, a lot of what makes, like, the basics of the team good. A lot of teams don't have Dragon Steel Fairy. I put that on the list, but I do, like, always try and get that if I can, personally, when drafting. Now we're moving on to another team that there are two of, kind of. Two Chi-Yu Sylveon teams. So this is one of them, but I feel like, honestly, this is the weaker of the two. Again, another team that has a pretty big fairy, or not big fairy weakness, but average fairy weakness. Chi-Yu and Sylveon is a really good combination because you're hitting pretty much everything you need to offensively besides fire types. You got like Slowbro, Mudsdale, Stonejourner, things that would cover that kind of damage. But I don't think that there's the right everything else kind of around this team. Wo-Chien is kind of funny. But like Sylveon and Chi-Yu are like way too physically frail to really benefit from the attack reduction that Wo-Chien would give you. You're just not really like, you're not living the hit as many hits as you really want to. You're turning like 1-hit KOs into 2-hit KOs, but really what you want from a Wo-Chien is 2 hits into 3 hits or 4. That being said, like Slowbro and Mudsdale are really good on this kind of team. Like it is pretty slow, and your fastest Pokemon is Cyclizar. Trick Room is really weird here and doesn't really work. Yeah, like Chi-Yu does not benefit from Trick Room unless you're running like Iron Ball Chi-Yu, which people have brought that to real tournaments before. I think that a team like this could really benefit from a trade that would give it something like a like reliable Tailwind setter. Something that would just let Chi-Yu rip through teams, and then maybe as like a late game option, you have like a Slowbro Mudsdale. Stonejourner, I am also a Stonejourner drafter. I don't know if it's going to be coming to any weeks, but it's always a cool Pokemon to really like bolster that damage. If like we're talking about, oh, you need Tailwind, there's definitely going to be some weeks where you can just run like Scarf Terrifier Chi-Yu next to Stonejourner and just rip through things because they have no way of outspeeding it. But for those matchups that you don't have that, I think you might struggle a lot more without the right prep. Also, I had to make a note that you can do Lava Plume Chi-Yu next to Darkspun, and something will happen. And it will be funny to me, personally. I don't know if it's going to be very good, but you can do that. This is where I changed the format a little bit, because I didn't want to keep typing out the coach names. Let me take a sip real quick, hold on. Big top-heavy team. I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think like Sylveon being top-heavy too is also like not that great. I've used Sylveon in other draft leagues before, or like in other in CPDL when we did Terra Captains and Reg H, I tried Sylveon and it couldn't Terra and it just like wasn't that great. But in this kind of league where it's fully like free Terra, open Terra, or not open Terra, closed Terra, it could be pretty good. Doxbun is really cool. Synergy, Body Press immediately going to +3. Yeah, like I just Doxbun's still not that great of a Pokemon outside of that, but it's cool and it's kind of fast. Like 95 speed is faster than I thought it was, honestly. This team is missing a bunch of the other stuff that I think is really helpful on draft league teams, like Fake Out. I don't think Intimidate, at least the way that people drafted in this league, is that important. I think there are a lot of like really special attack heavy teams like this one, where like you wouldn't bring an Intimidate Pokemon to this kind of matchup. There's a bunch of teams like this, or the teams that are physically heavy usually have some counter, like a Defiant Pokemon. You have like Corviknight with Mirror Armor, stuff like that. That would discourage you from bringing Intimidate anyway. So I don't think that one's the end of the world. I think all of the other ones are probably more important than that. So moving on to the next one. This was a really interesting team to me for some reason. Mikey with the Portland Bidoof. I don't know if I've been fully saying the names, but this was the Kalos Police Ditto Hunters with Coach Omega. Now we're moving on to Team Portland Bidoof, run by Coach Mikey. I think fairy types and like this is a stupid simple opinion, but fairy types and dragon types are really good together. There was a season where I ran like Klefki and Salamence and they just had such incredible synergy switching in and out with each other. Part of it was just because of Intimidate on Salamence, but the combo of Azumarill and Hydreigon is really good. They have very, very good type synergy. They could switch into each other very easily. If one is in a bad position. I think Arcanine is a really good Pokemon, of course, but I don't think it's really good as like your only S tier pick. It definitely has like good workable stats. Like it's also a lower power format. We're running Reg C, but like 110 base attack as your like S tier carry Pokemon is not really that high. You can run Choice Band, Terra Normal, but it's not getting KOs like with extreme speed the way that a Dragonite would. Hydreigon, however, the one that got away from me. I really, really wanted to draft Hydreigon because it's a really good Pokemon, especially in closed Terra formats. It has a lot of good coverage moves, really strong. Azumarill, I think, it'd be really strong too. Like, Water Fairy is just really good typing, and we don't get Primarina in this format. Florges, also, like, low-key, really slept on Pokemon. Hi, Jake's dad. So Florges really slept on Pokemon. Really, really strong physical wall. I ran like Assault Vest Florges into a very special heavy team, and you can just like run through things. Or I've run like Choice Scarf, Choice Specs. You run really bulky or really offensive, and it's a bit more flexible than people think. You don't put it in front of a physical attacking Pokemon, of course, but in those right situations, it's really, really strong. Breloom, I think, is really, really good for a B tier pick too, because it's a pretty decently fast Pokemon at 70 speed, and you get, of course, 100% accurate Sleep with Spore. So it's kind of cool too, because you end up slower than a lot of Pokemon, which is kind of good with a Spore, because you want to get the free Sleep turn on the next turn. But you also end up faster than a lot of the slow Pokemon, so you can stop the slow Pokemon from moving current turn, you can stop the fast Pokemon from moving next turn. Ideally, you survive long enough, so you're probably going to want Focus Sash on Breloom, but that's just a thing you work out in prep. I shouldn't say basically 0 speed control. You do have Tailwind on Hydreigon, and I think Hydreigon, like, being a Tailwind setter is not the worst thing in the world. Better than having to use Tailwind on your S tier. But it needs, like, a Covert Cloak if the opponent has Fake Out. It needs Terra Ghost or something like that. Fun fact, if we were playing in a format that had Ursaluna, Hisui, almost all sets of like that people run for Hisui and Ursaluna get walled by Terra Ghost Hydreigon. Just saying. Not relevant for this format. The C tier picks are just like the C tier and D tier picks are just like really weak on this team too. Is kind of my problem. Like Muck, Zangoose, and Cloyster are just really not good Pokemon. Like Cloyster's a lot. I was thinking about drafting it, but it was so slow. I didn't realize. Like base 70 speed is really not great. Skill Link and Shell Armor, like cool abilities. Overcoat, I guess too, if like you're playing against Amoonguss, but I don't think anyone on either side of the draft drafted Moongus. There's 2 Foongus, no Moongus. And just like 180 defense is cool, but like you don't get body press and you can't do fun stuff with that. So kind of like, what's the point? The first 5 picks look really nice. Yeah, exactly. I think like even Magnezone has its uses too. With Closed Terra, you can like Electric Steel, despite having the like 4x ground weakness, doesn't have that many other weaknesses. So I don't think it's that bad. There's like Palisand and Cloyster and Zangoose and Muck just are not that great, and I would suggest looking for like switches for that. And like if you find the right C tier pieces that could give you maybe like a better trigger mode for your slower Pokemon, because you do have like a good amount of slower Pokemon here, or maybe like missing any of the missing pieces in like the basics section. The Lion does not control speed for sure. Lion does not control speed. But yeah, basically like trading the C tiers and D tiers out for better pieces if they're available, I think could make this a really good team. And I think it's workable in its current state. It just needs the right matchups, and you need to play out of your mind. Moving on to our first C tier pick. I know it looks kind of crazy that this is C tier, given that it covers almost all of the basics and it has like a pretty decent tight matchup spread. You should also include a rating for the team name and logo. Ooh, I'll go through that in like, I have like an overview section at the end. Being an outsider, I don't get all the inside jokes. Like I see Court's mom was drafted twice somehow. Very interesting that we let them do that. Break the rules. I don't know. I'm not running the league. Whatever. But with this team, like, yeah, you hit all the basics like Fire, Water, Grass, Fake Out, blah, blah, blah. You have only 2 overall average weaknesses to Psychic and Rock, which is like pretty good. Like those are not super common like offensive types to be worried about. It does look kind of nutty to have booster speed Iron Jugulus next to Great Tusk, and because I don't know off the top of my head, does this get Iron Jugulus does get Sunny Day, so you can do Sunny Day Iron Jugulus. Shroodle, the prankster Pokemon on this team, does it get Sunny Day? It does. So you can do Sunny Day Shroodle next to Great Tusk and just like click Earthquake and kill your Shroodle and then do other stuff. So there's like yes, I get that that's there, but you can just like put a ground weakness on the team. Like this is not an impossible to build around kind of strategy. I don't get this. I don't really see how this seems like A tier to you. For some reason, like both teams that drafted Iron Jugulus also drafted Gyarados, which to me, like, I really try and avoid duplicates in type coverage. It's not a hard, fast rule like your team is bad if you have duplicates, but like Iron Jugulus is really good, and Great Tusk is really good too, but like they're just not impossible to build a team against. And then most of the other stuff is really not that great. Like the value that I think you get out of I'm trying to remember his name because it's called Court's mom here. Salazzle is just like Fake Out, and you get some like fun tech stuff. You get like Acid Spray. You get, I don't know if you does it get any kind of speed control. You can poison steel types. Like there's not a whole lot there. Or Orthworm, obviously you can Earthquake next to Orthworm and just heal infinitely. But then what are you doing with Orthworm? Orthworm doesn't have good offensive stats. Sure, you can Iron Defense Body Press, but then you're just sitting on the field. Like you need just like you need to be facing a team that's 100% physical Pokemon for that to work. And Great Tusk, if you don't give it an Assault Vest or something, it's just dying to any special attack. Toadskrull, also a good Pokemon when it's next to Galarian Weezing, or regular Weezing, of course. But that ability just makes it really hard to work around, unless you're like playing against what is it, Golden Go, and you want to avoid its you want to ignore its ability good as Gold and give it Spore anyway, but you're willing to wait the whole priority bracket. Sure, I think Eelektross is kind of the hidden goat of the, not like the goat obviously, but like you can. I see what they were going for is just like build everything around a ground Pokemon, and then like I think 4 immunities to ground. Sure. It's just, you can put, like, most teams have some kind of ground immunity, if not, like, more than one. And just doesn't work out kind of in the end. But Eelektross, I think, is really good, because, like, ground and electric, having that on a team as, like, 2 offensive Pokemon is pretty cool. It's a really slow Pokemon, but like it gets a lot of different moves. You can run like a cool like Terra Stellar, Life Orb, or like Assault Vest kind of set, and do Volt Switch things, and like switch in your Gyarados. Like there's some synergy there. I just don't like. I just think this team is a little bit too easy to build around, and could benefit from dropping some of that like really hard synergy for some other kind of game mode, or at least just some other carry for the team. I don't really know what exactly that would be. That's just what I'm thinking. Maybe Siwa is a little bit harsh, like looking at this team, but I don't know. Yeah, like I think Salazzle just kind of sucks too, and like Toad Scroll without Weezing canceling the ability. Psyduck, sure, you can turn off the snow against that snow team matchup, but what else? Let's move on to the next one. Now we have, I believe this might be our first A tier. Yeah, I'm gonna play against them. I'm just not gonna click specs deagling and move on. Exactly. Yeah, so like I would definitely disagree that that last one was an A tier. Maybe like C plus or maybe B minus, but I really don't. I think C plus is the highest. So going into the next one, we got the Cincinnati Red Gyarados, run by Pokemon and Beer. Pokemon and Beer. So, generally, I think Dozogiri is bait in draft. And normally the draft leagues that I've played in have played in a format that's more expansive than Regulation C. At least like Reg H, or I've played like Reg F and D kind of formats, where you have a lot more options for things like getting Haze and Clear Smog on the team. But we're playing in a format that is much more limited, and not all these teams have something like, Haze or Clear Smog available to them. Like going through this, I don't think any of those Pokemon get Haze. Slowking get Haze? Maybe. I don't know. Haunter gets Haze. So that's one. Venonat doesn't get that. Maybe it gets Clear Smog. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? There's not as many options and not as many Pokemon that are going to have Haze or Clear Smog. So I think it's a little bit better too. And you have the option of free Terra. It's closed Terra. Closed team sheet. I say F because they sniped my Scovillain. I think Scovillain's a really cool part of this team, honestly, too. Like, you have Spicy Extract and you have Redirection, which is pretty cool. I think Bisharp is really good on this team, too. There's someone else, I think, that drafted Bisharp on the other side of the league. Kind of going over to, like, the type chart, which I think I didn't ignore totally on the other ones, but, like, type matchup and speed, I think it's pretty decent, but like being weak to ground and fighting as your weaknesses is pretty rough. Like most Pokemon at least have like most physical Pokemon have maybe one fighting move, but like ground is a pretty common offensive type, so that's a little bit hard to work around. You've got 2 immunities, but you're gonna be like dropping Terra turn 1 on your Clamora if you're in front of a ground type for sure. But Bisharp is really cool on this team. Raichu is a really cool Pokemon. Like you can run it bulky with Assault Vest like Wolf did in 2016, or you can just run Assault or like Focus Sash. You can even run it offensive if you want. I don't know. Choice specs? Maybe. What is it? Special attack stat? Raichu 90. Maybe not then. Maybe you're not going to be running specs. Maybe you run Choice Band. I don't know. You could do anything. See, the Paradox Division doesn't even have Dozogiri. It doesn't. And you know what? We're better for that. Thank you guys. So I think like the top 6 Pokemon on this team are really, really, really good. I think the bottom 4 here are not bad. Like Fletchinder is really good as a prankster, basically a prankster. Tailwind option if they don't have Fake Out on the field. They're not going to be able to stop you from clicking Tailwind. Capparaja, I don't think this is a great Pokemon personally. I remember looking at the stats for it. It has like a Steel-type giant elephant Pokemon, you'd think it'd have really good defense, but it has base 69 in both special defense and just like really high base HP. So you can make it work kind of like as a physical or special wall, but like sheer force is not the ability to go for on this kind of Pokemon. I mean, not that heavy metal is of course the better option, but like it would have benefited from a much better ability. That being said, you have Medicham on the team, so you can do skill swap, funny stuff, and do like skill swap pure power onto Capparaja, maybe, I don't know. Cryogonal I think is also like probably one of the best D tier options that we had, and it was sniped pretty early on both sides, I think. Sheer Force Life Orb is good, yeah, but it's further than you think, like you said. You definitely want to run this in your Trick Room mode, but like your Trick Room mode is depending on Metacham in order to set Trick Room, and Metacham's not the most reliable Trick Room setter. The right matchup and the right setup, like you do have Fake Out and you have Redirection, sure, but Metacham like needs a Focus Sash to live the turn generally. It's not going to bulk things out. And it's like this is like a pretty generally fast team, but not the fastest in the world, unless you have like Jolly Dondozo and you get your +2. But I mean, it's not horrible either. I think it could benefit maybe from like a closer to 120 or 125 speed Pokemon, but I don't know where you would trade in order to get that. But of course, also Glamora, a really, really important partner to Dozogiri, like getting Toxic Spikes on the field so that you can punish any kind of switch outs or defensive play from your opponent. So I think this is a really good team. I think there's a lot of really good options, and like Bisharp also discourages them from just your opponent from bringing your Intimidate Pokemon, because you could either run also Dondozo as Oblivious instead of Unaware. So going on to the next team, we got one of my favorite teams and one of my favorite players here, the Kanto Pop Finger Waggers, the parenthetical team. Thought it was K-pop Demon Hunters reference with the coach tag, but I guess not. So going into Perry's team, we originally drafted 3 of the same Pokemon, me and Perry, but we both made some trades and deviated from our original plans. Champao, I think, a much better fit for this team as the S-tier pick. Champao is one of the best S-tier picks for sure. It is like ridiculously frail, so it's not the kind that's going to be living through a lot of turns, but it's very high impact when it's on the field, and you can run Focus Sash and Protect to kind of stick around longer and let your teammates like Caesar really benefit from that. Caesar is really going to love being on the field with Champao, and it helps deal with the like Dark and Water type Pokemon, or the Dark type Pokemon specifically that Champao struggles with, and same thing with Pawmot, dealing with Dark and Water types. Pawmot also gets Fake Out. It's a really good Pokemon. It gets Revival Blessing, so you can do some crazy stuff with that. Noivern, probably a really good B tier Pokemon in Draft League. It's not good in real Regulation C, but in Draft League it is really good. It's just ridiculously fast. And you can run Covert Cloak and just get Tailwind up no matter what. You can drop Draco Meteors and die, and then bring in your actual sweeper. Bramblegast also can benefit from Tailwind, of course, having the Wind Rider ability. I haven't played in a format of Draft League where I think Bramblegast is good, but I've seen chat in the Discord server that would say otherwise. You also get Bruxish and Colossal, which can do a funny Aqua Jet weakness policy, steam engine kind of thing. It would be pretty cool. Only having 2 special, cool team, but only having 2 special attackers. One of them being kind of good sucks. Yeah, this is definitely a more physical heavy team. And to your point, maybe would benefit from having Pokemon that actually discourage Intimidate. Like Wigglytuff gets competitive, but Wigglytuff's offensive stats don't really help with that too much. What is the other ones that it gets? Q-Charm and Frisk. I guess Frisk could be kind of useful, but like it doesn't help your team setup, and it's so slow. 85 special attack is actually a little higher than I thought it was going to be, but anyway. Bruxish, I think you might be sleeping on too a little bit as a special attacker. Never mind. It's a physical attacker. I changed my mind. Yeah, Clawitzer is kind of your main special attacker here. Clawitzer in Trick Room is going to be really good. I did also draft Clawitzer, and I really hope that it gets some good use. But like, not totally unworkable bulk with 120 base special attack, and you get 1.5 times damage on pulse moves. Pretty sick. And also Ursaring, if you can get Trick Room up with Bruxish, then you're gonna have a good time. The one thing I think this team is really missing is a redirection. In helping get Trick Room up, you have Fake Out with Pawmot, but like having a redirection on is helpful because sometimes the Fake Out's not gonna work. I think that kind of covered everything I thought about this team. I think the vibes of this team are really great, and it's pretty good. It's a good team. I think it'll win some games for sure. We've got our first big shitter. I'm sorry for the Draft League. We got Amlo's Amazing Monkey Dories of the Lake of Outrage, the longest team name in the league, which I will have opinions on for sure. So starting with the S tier pick, Iron Bundle. I think Iron Bundle is a great Pokemon in a format where we get 2 S tier picks. If you got 2, it would be a really good one. But like 136 speed is really, really, really fast. But like Iron Bundle also gets, what is it, like 120 something? Yeah, 124 special attack, and your best move is Hydro Pump, which misses 20% of the time. Doesn't even spell out Amlo, it spells it. And you're so right about that, honestly, about the acronym. I don't know the Amlo difference. This is me coming from the outsider perspective. You have to understand that. And also remember the disclaimer that you agreed to at the beginning of the stream by continuing to watch the stream. So anyway, Iron Bundle with like specs, if it hits its Hydro Pump, sure. And like something I thought about is Sandy Shocks. If you have like specs Iron Bundle next to Sandy Shocks that has like booster energy speed and it can use gravity, sure, you can hit all your Hydro Pumps, but like I don't know, I still don't really love that as kind of like your best offensive option. Maybe I'm missing something. I think Sandy Shocks is a really, really good A tier pick too. Like Ground Electric in this kind of format is really good coverage, and it's I think pretty good stats. Sandy Shocks, what is its stats? 121, so just under the special attack stat of Iron Bundle. Definitely a lot slower, of course, but that's really powerful. I think Taurus Cloudea Blaze, a really good Pokemon too, but this is like a pretty frail feeling team. Yeah, I don't think Bundle is that guy. I love Iron Bundle as a Pokemon. It's cool. It's just not the right S tier pick for this team, and I think like with some good trades, getting like the really bad Pokemon off the team, or just like the bad fits, I guess. I don't think there's anything like overtly god-awful terrible, but like Frostmoth really wants Snow. Or some kind of screen setup, and like Sandy Shocks is kind of your best option for that, and it doesn't really sit on the field for that long. Pikachu, probably one of the better D tier picks, because he gets Lightning Rod, I guess. So like you can protect your Iron Bundle and Drifblim from electric attacks. Sudowoodo's just not good. What did we say about Drifblim? I like Drifblim more if there was terrain higher. Yeah, that was something I think I might... Did I write it down here? I wrote it down for the other person. That both people who drafted Drifblim did not really draft a way to proc Unburden, which is a big downfall. So if you can get some kind of terrain setter or a Pokemon that like... I just don't even think with like a Pokemon that's going to use like a terrain move that it's worth the investment. Like, Drifblim's not going to be that high impact with the extra speed unless it gets that speed as soon as it hits the field. I think Spiritomb is like a good Trick Room setter in this kind of format too. Gardevoir is a good Pokemon. It's a fairy type. And like you have the speed control options on this team of Tailwind and Trick Room, but you don't have Fake Out, Intimidate, and you only have Redirection and just not the right pieces around it to like really just automatically abuse Tailwind. Drifblim. Yeah, and also you're going to be slow on Drifblim because you can't proc Unburden. So, and just like not a great tight matchup spread. Like you're somehow not weak to fire despite having the 4x weakness, and you're one of the few teams that's not weak to fairy entirely. Also props to this team, the A tier team, for actually having a fairy resist overall. But like ground weakness and water weakness is pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think any of these teams are like completely unworkable, but this team probably needs to use all 5 of its trades to move up to something like a B tier. But it's possible. It just also depends on what's available. I don't know off the top of my head what's available on the tier list, but I'd be happy to see some good trades to make this cool. I think the Pokemon on this team themselves are awesome. I love Iron Bundle, I love Sandy Shocks, love Drifblim, Foongus, Spiritomb, Sudowoodo, but the vibes aren't everything, unfortunately. Next, we're moving on to the team The War on Terra, run by Quirt, whose mom is featured on another person's team, fun fact. I think this is a B+ team overall. I think that it hits a lot of the basics. It has good options to get speed control going and also help support getting speed control going. I think Dragonite's a really good Pokemon in this format too. if your team failed to draft any ice types, that would force it to Terra, along with like a fire type that would punish those kinds of Terras, or anything like fairy type and like coverage against fairy type coverage, then you're probably going to struggle a lot against Dragonite, whether it runs in Inner Focus set or multi-scale too. It's going to be really powerful. I think Iron Treads is actually a really good pairing for this too, because it kind of counters the Pokemon that Dragonite generally struggles against, like Steel and Fairy type Pokemon, because you hit those both super effectively. Skeletor is a really cool Pokemon. Quirk, not A, is bold. I mean, I think I could see it being an A tier, maybe A minus personally. I think that there's a lot of good pieces to it, but like you look at the type matchup spread, and like you're weak to Fairy, you're weak to Ghost, you're weak to Dark, which not a lot of teams are. You're weak to Fire, which a lot of teams generally have at least one Fire type Pokemon. Flying is not great either. It's not as abysmal to have like a Fire weakness overall as it was like in Gen 8 when every Pokemon wanted to run Max Airstream. But, and like, this is another kind of top-heavy team I feel too looking at it. They're all going to generally be top-heavy because the better tier Pokemon are better, obviously. But like, it's top-heavy in like the top 4. Like, Pachirisu is good, but only in like, I feel like certain matchups. It's Redirection. But you also don't really have Pokemon that like you want to Volt absorb any electric moves from, and I don't know. You're going to be redirecting moves from Dragonite, so generally you'd want to be redirecting Ice and like Fairy type moves, Rock type moves, and it's not resisting any of those things. You're also like covering the same. You're getting the same ground weakness that you're getting with Iron Treads and Skeledirge. I think Weavile's really good on this team too. Weavile's always really good in lower power formats. Lurantis can help you kind of counter-intimidate spam for many teams that have it. I don't know. I think Barraskewda is also like not one of the worst B-tier picks because it's super, super fast. It's faster than Iron Bundle without booster speed. And it gets Swift Swim, but this team doesn't have a way of setting up the rain really reliably, you know. Patchy and Dragonite setup is go. Maybe I wouldn't know what to expect playing this. I mean, you can make it not get hit by those moves, but like Pachirisu is going to die really quickly generally. Sure, live the Draco Meteor that we all know about, but I forgot what I was just gonna look up. Barraskewda's attack stat: 123 attack and 136 speed. If you don't need it to survive a turn, you could just do like Terra Water. Like, does it get Wave Crash? It does not get Wave Crash. Waterfall Liquidation, I guess. With Choice Band, if you had Swift Swim, it'd be so good. But even without it, it's still really fast. So that's kind of why I put it at B tier, B plus tier. I think like maybe one trade could possibly make this an A tier team for sure. I think Rabska is kind of a low tier goat in here too. Like, if you get the right timed Revival Blessing with like a Pokemon that maybe has like Citrus Berry that didn't get procced before it died, could kind of go crazy. I don't know. Hypno's like, I guess, your size spam matchup, or you're just, I needed to pick a D tier, but like, fun fact, it gets in Prison, Trick Room, and Expanding Force, but it's really not doing that much either, like elsewhere. Heracross is like kind of good too, but only against teams where you know you can outspeed things, and 85 speed is just not that high. What is the Tailwind option on this team? Dragonite. You just like, you don't want to be spending turns with Dragonite on the field, just clicking Tailwind, you know? It's kind of the same thing with Roaring Moon. But I don't think Dragonite's a bad S tier pick at all, by the way. I was considering drafting it that as well. So now going into kind of like the bottom half, or like the last half of the of this division. I'm going to try and go maybe a little bit quicker because I feel like it's already been an hour. Wow, okay. So we have the Driftville Dragonites, run by Coach Nikki. And this one's also like really rough on the Fairy matchup. You're not going to have a good time playing against Fluttermane except for your Revavroom. And Fluttermane, does it get like Mystical Fire or something like that? Fluttermane, does it get Mystical? It does get Mystical Fire, so you can just rip through the Revavroom. You Terra Fire, sure. I don't know. There's just like ways to play around that kind of thing. Anyway, dropping out of like specific type matchups. The combination of like Roaring Moon and Sableye I think is not that great. Like, Roaring Moon needs to be booster attack pretty much every time you play it in this kind of format, in this draft league. Terrastellar Blastorantis, that's pretty funny. Rapska Hypno is a somewhat bulky Tripiceratops. Morantis Skelders. Okay, I could see that. I think like those are good options, but they're just like not the best options. You know, you've also like you've got Dragonite on the team, and you're trying to depend on Hypno and Rabska. That's all I'm saying. I think Sableye is a really, really good Pokemon in Draft League. Swiss Army Knife, it gets so many moves, gets Prankster. Sure. I think Ceruledge is pretty good too. Maybe not the best in the whole world because you generally need to like set it up with Bulk Up in order to be really impactful. And like again, this feels like a top-heavy team that is not really that good at being top-heavy, because of like a lot of the overlapping type weaknesses and things like that, and like Reverum being like really matchup specific too. And then like you have Passimian. Passimian gets coaching. Fun fact: you can do coaching. How fast is Passimian? Where's the line on that? 80. Kind of slow, but like not super slow. You could run like Choice Scarf coaching if you wanted. Kind of cool. I don't know. I don't even know what abilities it gets. Receiver. What does that do? Pokemon copies the ability of an ally that faints. Well, generally you don't want your own Pokemon to faint, so I think that's kind of bad. Does this have Fire, Water, Grass? I might have forgotten to update some of the... Or maybe I just missed out on this one. What's this have? Oh, it does, Ceruledge. Okay, I was probably looking for red Pokemon for Fire. Real shit. Defiant. Yeah. You made no trades. I think, like... You could make some trades and make this a really good team. I don't think it's a bad team. And like I think this is like one of all like the C-rated kind of teams. This is probably the one that like could surprise me. You know, because Roaring Moon is really good, and if you're in the right speed tiers and the right matchups, it could be really good. But you're gonna struggle against that Flutter Mane team without Rever. Like once Reverum's off the field, you are really gonna struggle there. Yeah, so I'm going to move on to the next one because, like I said, I wanted to go a little faster. Now we got Figgy with the Fig Newtons. I rated this one a B-. I think that this team is missing Indeedee, which is what AOX drafted, the Indeedee Psy Spam team that also had Iron Valiant. Live and die by your draft, sure. Yeah. This is just kind of a weird, interesting team. Maybe I like don't see the plan with it. But Morgrem, I think, is a really good C-tier pick here. I think Volcarona and Morgrem together, like, fake out Light Screen and stuff like that. With setup Volcarona, it could be really strong, and, like, some teams just can't do anything about that. Iron Valiant, also really good in this format, where not everyone's going to have a Flutter Mane on their team. It's just really fast with booster speed, or you can run, like, a booster offensive set. You can run it as a mixed attacker too if you want, with just the kind of stats that it has. 130 attack or maybe it's 130 and 120 for one of them. Oricorio, I didn't even see Oricorio Volk. I don't know how I missed that, but you're right. If you're playing against a team that doesn't have good fire or rock type Pokemon, you're just gonna run through them easy. I think Crocodile is also a really good addition to this team to help it against the physical matchups a bit more. Espeon also totally slept on Pokemon with like pretty decent coverage move options. Like I don't think it gets any like fire moves, so it still gets walled by steel types, but it does get like additional like good fairy and psychic moves. It gets ghost type moves like Shadow Ball, it gets Power Gem, Grass Knot. I saw a ground type move and it gets Mud Slap. That's not great, but Arboliva is just a funny Pokemon too. It can really help. Like this is like a really bulky team that also has a couple really good strong attackers. It's just it doesn't, I don't know, something about it just doesn't feel like it's hitting right, and I don't know, there's some overlap in the team too, like having double fake out with Hariyama and Morgrem. Yeah, I guess that actually works pretty well for Volcarona setup mode. Belly Bullet Mischievous, like setting up Trick Room. Espeon also a very good Trick Room setter if you're playing against not physical Pokemon. Because Magic Bounce with Covert Cloak, just you can't stop it unless it dies. So yeah, I think maybe I was a little harsh. Maybe this was the kind of B tier team. I don't think B plus. But I did also like I was cognizant of the ratings I was giving everything else across the board, and I didn't want to give it out a ton of Bs. So maybe I was just trying to push away from that. But I think this is a pretty good team with like not great type matchups. Like you're weak to fairy and you're weak to water, which is like a pretty common type, but not bad overall. Now we got another A tier team. We have the Broad Street Billies run by Cataclysmic. This is a really weird looking team at first glance, and I was not going to give it an A at first. But you've got a really, really good overall matchup spread, or type matchup spread. You've got almost all of the basics besides fire, water, grass, and you've got 2 of the 3 in that case. I think on this team, like King Gambit, your Trick Room mode is going to be really, really good on this team. And you've also got really fast Pokemon, like Palafin once it's in Hero mode. Staraptor is really fast too with Intimidate. And of course, Electrode, and Electrode being like the fastest thing I think in the format besides anything with booster speed. And what is this thing called? Grafii with Prankster. It doesn't get like as many Prankster moves as you would hope that it would get. Like I was thinking about drafting it and found out that it didn't get stuff like Quash or Taunt. I think maybe it does get Taunt. It doesn't get Taunt. I don't know. There's some other stuff that's missing, but like Baton Pass, Encore, Endeavor. Or Endeavor's not a status move, but what else does it get? Parting Shot, kind of cool. Psych Up, Switcheroo, Taunt, Toxic, Copycat, Doodle. Like, and you get the Weathers, of course. It's a jack of all trades. I would say, like, not as good as Sableye for sure, which is why it's in B tier, not A tier, but really good. I think this team just, like, kind of has it all, honestly. And built around the right idea, like whether it's the King Gambit sweep or the Palafin sweep, I think you'll have a hard time prepping against this kind of team. I think this team can kind of build all of the options it needs to into any matchup. Tinkatuff and Appletoon are just kind of here for the ride. Like, what is Tinkatuff's ability even? It gets Mold Breaker, right? Yeah, Mold Breaker, Own Tempo, and Pickpocket, but like, it's Fake Out, it's Steel Fairy, that's a good type. You're still not helping King Gambit into ground types, but yeah, and Venomoth is a redirection Pokemon. There's value there, I see that. And like Goodra against special teams, really good too. You would expect Grafii to get Fake Out, but it doesn't, unfortunately. So yeah, this one I think was really, really good. So here's the overall rankings for this division. We've got the 2 highest ranks with A rank, the Cincinnati Red Gyarados, run by Pokemon and Beer, the Broad Street Billies, run by Cataclysmic, and then just under them is Wall Street Wailords with Doom Dragon. I'm actually, because this is just what's on the screen, you guys can look at this, I'm going to talk about the team names. Let's see, the War on Terra I think is really funny. The Cantopop Finger Waggers Parry I think is one of the best ones too. Amazing Monkey Doors of Lake of Rage would be really funny if I didn't have to type it out. And for that you get minus aura points, I'm sorry. The rest kind of just like don't really hit too much for me. None of them are overly bad. Like Fig Newtons with Figgy, that's a classic. You always got to be doing that. Yeah, the rest of them, like I don't think there's any like really bad ones, but like the favorites are Cantopop Finger Waggers, the War on Terra. See, like I'm saying it anyway. And the Fig Newtons are probably my favorite. So yeah, moving on now to the Paradox division, my division. I bet you're all waiting so anxiously to find out what I gave my own team. Totally not biased. Starting off with Wumbles, running the Lucanosa Lycanroc team. We have another person that drafted Roaring Moon. This team does, like, I was looking at it, it does feel strong. Like, I think there are good options. Skeledirge and Glomora are really good A-tier picks. The Roaring Moon pick, like I said, if you have it supported by the right Pokemon, then you can just, like, run it booster attack and not need to run Tailwind. You just, like, can't afford to, really, in this kind of format. And I think Raichu helps out with that. Toadschool is a redirection Pokemon, but I don't know that's going to help you all that much. Maybe like running Dragon Dance in that kind of set. You have cool stuff too, like Medicham and Golduck, but you can't use them on Roaring Moon, with. I think the idea is Tail Swap and Simple Beam. Like, I wanted to draft both of those Pokemon too, but you can't use those on Roaring Moon because of Photosynthesis. So I think maybe a different S tier pick would actually like really launch this team into a really cool direction. Being able to use that in the right situation too, like Orthworm and Doug Trio. If you trap your opponent in the right board state that they can't really do anything against you, then it's pretty cool. Definitely the better of the two drafts with Orthworm, honestly. And I think Raichu is great as always. Squawkability is an Intimidate Pokemon, and it's like kind of fast, right? Yeah, 92 gets Parting Shot. You can run it with Choice Scarf and just like be really, really annoying. So I think this team is pretty good. It doesn't sing, and like if you get the S tier pick that I think could benefit from the pieces around it more, it would be really, really good. But I think you'll totally win some games. I think this team is the kind of team that could make playoffs, because I don't think like your bottom picks are really not bad at all. Medicham, Golduck, and Squawkability are good C tiers. Your B tiers are pretty good too, but you can't really benefit all that much from what make Medicham and Golduck that great. So getting the right other piece to build around that I think would be really helpful. Now going into the second pick, our second snow team run by Sempra. I don't fuck with this team, if I'm being honest. I think you pick Fluttermane and that helps out a lot, but like Abomasnow and Frostmoth and Beartic together, yeah, that's your snow mode. And I kind of get it, but like Beartic doesn't get that fast on your base 50 speed. Frostmoth, at least you have Abomasnow, like that makes it a much more powerful Frostmoth option than the other one. And Palmot's really good. Semper regional champ, yeah, I know. I am aware that they're a regional champ, but that I'm trying to remove that from my mind when I'm considering this team, because that's just what it is. Bisharp, like I said, is a really good Pokemon, and Gothorita is cool as a B tier pick. Breloom is another really strong B tier with Spore support, but this team just has really, really, really rough type matchup spreads. You have no fire resist on the whole team. You're really pretty. You're overall like you still have like just -1 resistance to ground, but like you have two fake out Pokemon that are both electric type and both fast and frail. It feels like I know there are like no good D tier Pokemon, but there's some overlap there that I think could be addressed. Pikachu's obviously not as good of a Pokemon as Pawmot, but that being said, like your Muck is just kind of not doing anything. I don't think Beartic is that really great in snow, but I could be wrong. Like you could totally. It's also Sempra, like regional champ. I'm gonna put that into my mind now. If anyone's going to be winning games with this kind of team, it's a regional champion. But I think this is the kind of team, yeah, like I said, that will feel that I'll say is really bad, and then it ends up making playoffs, which is why I made it B-. I think, honestly, if another person drafted this team, and if it didn't have Fluttermane, this would be like a D tier team. That's why it's B-, is because it has Fluttermane. And it's just going to be hard for a lot of these teams to fight against that because they don't have good fairy resistance. Now, moving into the Pittsburgh Pixies, run by Banana Bread. This is another Chien-Pao team. This one, the Perish Trap mode. Yeah, there's a Perish Trap mode on this team. That's not something I really considered. But the rest of the team, I don't know. Like I said, this is the kind of team that I think I'm going to say is bad and is going to make playoffs or something like that. So talking about Banana Bread's team, Chien-Pao, Azumarill, and Hariyama are a really good pairing. I think Staraptor even with Chien-Pao is really good. I think, yeah, I put a calc for choice. This is a bit of a sad calc. This is like one of the most bulky Fluttermane sets that people would generally run. This was like suggested in the like damage calculator, but 252 Adamant, Attack Choice Band, huge power, Sword of Ruin, Terra Water, Azumarill, Aqua Jet. Doesn't always KO Fluttermane, but it's crazy that it can. I think like overall pretty good type matchup spread too. Like you have a lot of overall resistances. Your weakness is being Fairy. It's still pretty rough, but like Electric and Flying could be worse. what else do we have on the team? We have like 2 pretty good speed control modes too, with like Slowking being a really hard to break Trick Room setter. If you want to go for like the slow mode with Azumarill and Hariyama, or you have like a really fast Choice Scarf, Staraptor with Tailwind and Intimidate can help you out a lot. Magneton with Terra, honestly, could be kind of good. Could be the move. I don't know. You don't really have that great of a way of like making Colossal. Besides, I guess you could Aqua Jet yourself with Colossal and like Terra Fire, but you have. I don't think you'd really want to do that because you're usually running huge power on Azumarill, you're boosting your own attack, and then you're, doing more damage to your own Colossal. You want generally like a really fast physical attacking Pokemon that gets Surf or something like that when people ran like Dragapult. Banette's one of my favorite Pokemon, and I've run it in draft before, and I used it exactly 1 time, and it worked that time as a Trick Room setter, because it gets Trick Room. It's pretty cool. It also, I think it gets Frisk, right? Banette gets Frisk, which is really good in a closed team sheet. I actually like feeling like I should have included Frisk as one of like the basics check marks, but there's so few Pokemon that get Frisk that it's just like a really nice to have thing in this kind of format. Passimian getting Coaching is really good too. You can like Coaching your Hariyama and just be kind of a physical wall. Pretty cool. Like, no, there's not really any truly bad Pokemon. Banette, probably the worst, obviously, because it's a D-tier Pokemon, but, like, a workable Pokemon and can come to some matchups. I think it's B-tier. I think you could argue for this to be a B+, too. Maybe I was a little harsh giving it B, but I think it's a team that you're, like, legitimately going to have to prep against playing against this person. Going into the next team, I think the team after this might be mine. Just as a little bit of a spoiler, we're going to be moving on to my team soon, finally. But now talking about Cozy with the Washington Super Hot Fire. I'm actually 3 picks away from my own team, just so going back to that. So this is the other Sylveon Chi-Yu team, and I think this one is particularly really, really good. I think Espathra is a really hard Pokemon to deal with, and something that you have to really prep hard for in Draft League. I think Noivern is a really reliable Tailwind setter if you give a Covert Cloak, or if your opponent just doesn't have a faster Pokemon and doesn't have Fake Out. Tauros Paldea, not the best of the Tauroses, but not the worst either. Yeah, this is, I think, a really, really good team. It's a bit top-heavy, for sure. But these top 3 Pokemon work so well together. Yeah, you should be scared of this team playing against it. Like, Chi-Yu, Sylveon, and Espathra together hit pretty much like all Pokemon for super effective damage in some way. It's going to be hard for you to deal with, and if Espathra can just sit on the field and click Protect every other turn and get Speed Boost until it can sweep, you can kind of run through stuff. And if you, for whatever reason, wanted to run Trick Room mode on this team, like if Belly Bolt happens to be like your win condition one week where your opponent is really weak to electric type, you have like Bronzor, which has surprisingly good stats for an unevolved Pokemon. It's base 300 and its stats are 57 HP, 86 in both other defenses. So if you run this with like max HP and whatever defensive stat you need, you're getting a lot out of Eviolite. Tauros can help you out too there. Espathra can like set screens too. You can do that kind of stuff. Yeah, this just like is going to be a hard team to prep against. Your type weaknesses aren't that bad besides Fairy, but you have at least 1 resist and only 2 weaknesses. I mean, your resist is Bronzor, so it's not really that great. But anyway, yeah, I think Brux is good on this team for whatever, like, good as like, Dazzling being the priority blocker is pretty helpful. I just think it's the ugliest Pokemon to ever be designed, so I will refuse to draft it every single time. But props to Cozy for drafting this team. Very good, very good. We've got another A-tier team here. No surprise, coming from Mr. Amazing. We've got a really strong team, the Solo Dozo team. Pretty surprising to some people. I saw there was some trade discussion happening. I think Dondozo with Tauros Blaze is a really good combination. You've got like one of the really strong Firewater Grass cores with Dozo, Tauros, and Rotom. Gives you a really helpful ground immunity. I think, like I said, Florges can be really good in the right matchups. Slowbro, very hard to deal with. Trick Room setter. Electrode, one of the fastest Pokemon in the format. Morgrem, really good light screen setter and can do like parting shot, fake out. You can kind of do a lot of stuff with it. Venomoth is a redirection Pokemon. There's not really that much more to say about it. Oricorio, I don't really know what it does on this kind of team exactly, besides be the other Tailwind setter. But I'm sure there's something you could do with it probably. Maybe that thing is to trade it and make this an A+ team. But like, yeah, there's like really no Pokemon on this team that have no value. And it has a good variety of like really high speed and really low speed Pokemon. A lot of good options in setting the right speed control for whatever condition you need in. Yeah, it's a Quiver Dance user, but like you're not getting the benefit of other Pokemon using Quiver Dance on the team. Like, I don't. Venomoth does get Quiver Dance. You were saying that, AOX, actually, that you ran Venomoth at Oricorio. So, there's potential there. How fast is Venomoth? Base 90. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is just a really, really good team, and your type weaknesses, like, the worst one to deal with is ground, and you have 2 immunities. So just don't bring your 3rd ground weakness, and you're good. And Mr. Amazing is also a really great player. Played with them in CPDL, so I have no doubt that Mr. Amazing has a very good chance to get to playoffs with this kind of team. Now we finally get to the star of the show. Virtual Dance Tri-State Trubbish, the totally unbiased review of my own team. I didn't actually write any notes. I'm not going to talk that much about my team. I made a bunch of trades for my team. I think I traded away like almost half of my team. I think maybe like 4 or 5 trades because I didn't feel great with how I started. Started with like Iron Hands and Gengar and stuff like that. And it felt like there was some synergy there too. I'm really Obama metal here for sure. I should have put that picture in. That would have been really funny. I think Dragapult is just really, really good. There's so few Pokemon that outspeed it. Corviknight is good for my slow mode. Sableye, like I said, the Swiss Army knife. Zoroark is going to be funny. Gardevoir, I think, is slept on too. You have like a lot of people not having a good defensive matchup into fairy types. Jolteon's also obviously extremely fast. And like all of my bottom tier Pokemon generally have some kind of use to it. I don't think Pyroar is that great, but in the times that I'm going to need it, it might be very useful. I hit a lot of the marks of like the basics besides Intimidate, which like I said, I don't think is that super impactful when you're just able to draft some kind of counter to it in your team, which I think a lot of people did. So yeah, that's kind of all I'm going to say about mine. I think it's a lot better than how it started. Maybe not my favorite draft that I've ever done, but I think I will be doing pretty good. Now we're moving on to AOX. AOX. I don't know how to pronounce it. AOX. The Sheffield Steelixes. I wrote a lot about this team, surprisingly, given that it's a size spam team, but like I said, it's Indeedee plus Iron Valiant and Espeon. Fun fact, like I said, Iron Valiant gets Expanding Force, and Espeon gets Expanding Force. Both of them have very good special attack stat, and are very fast. You also have Scizor, which like kind of counterintuitive with Indeedee, in that you get Bullet Punch in Psychic Terrain, so you're blocking yourself from doing that. And there's some other good pieces too, like Bramblegast and Fletchinder. You get Priority Tailwind that's really hard to break. And you get Wind Rider benefit from that. Weavile is really strong. What else? Quillfish, it doesn't get to use, what is it, Eviolite? What is Quillfish's base stats? 440. Not great. But like if you only use it when you need it, maybe not that bad for Spice, for sure. Play what you know though. Honestly, I respect it a little bit. I think your bottom 2 picks are probably just like I needed to pick another C tier and another D tier Pokemon. But like maybe you get some kind of use out of that in the right matchup. Like the combination of the 2 together could be good since Copperajah isn't gonna be taking Sand Chip damage. If you really need to slow a matchup down, it can be pretty good. I think being weak to fire is kind of rough in this kind of format too, and being weak to dark, you kind of just are dealing with that because you're a Psy spam team, but at least Iron Valiant isn't fully weak to dark. And Indeedee itself is like a really good damage dealer too. Like, I think Indeedee as an S tier pick on the right rest of your picks can be very good, and this is probably like one of the best case scenarios for like a Psy spam draft, I think. He's already traded away Sandaconda. What? You making trades 10 minutes ago? Come on, you knew I was going to be doing this. What'd you trade? Sandaconda for Larvesta. That's an interesting trade. It's a redirection Pokemon, so you do fill out that piece of the basics that you're missing. So I don't think it's a bad trade at all. I don't think Sandaconda was going to be that great for you anyway. You've lost your one other Pokemon that does real respectable damage to fire types. Like, what is Fletchinder's attack stats? 56 special attack and 73 attack. Yeah, you're gonna have a tough time dealing with steel types on this team. I guess Iron Valiant is a fighting type, so I still stand with my B rating, but Larvesta is a plus pick. I think it's a good one. Moving on, we've got Goldingo's Minions with the coach Spooky Squirtle. Goldingo, obviously a really, really great Pokemon. This is the other team that drafted both Gyarados and Iron Jugglish for some reason. Still somehow ended up being neutral or being positive on their electric type matchup. I don't know how. You do have Pachirisu with Volt Absorb, which is nice. It definitely helps. Not going to help against spread electric attacks, but it's something. And Iron Jugglish is just really, really fast with booster speed and can help you set up Tailwind that like lets Goldingo just spam Make It Rain. I think Hypno maybe gets Haze, so you could like haze away your special attack drops or Make It Rain. But I see a lot of high pressure options on this team. I see some ways to kind of slow the game down with Gyarados and Pachirisu. Toxicroak is a good fake out user too, and you're immune to water, I think, too, right? Yeah. Lurantis is a Pokemon that can help discourage Intimidate spam. I don't think a lot of teams have Intimidate, really. And there's not generally that many ways to lower other stats besides things like Icy Wind. But there's utility in that. I think having so many slow Pokemon on the team without, like, the best way of setting up Trick Room is a little bit weak, honestly. Like, what is Hypno's abilities? Inner Focus, Insomnia. I guess you can't get faked out, so you can run, like, Inner Focus, Mental Herb, and have a pretty reliable way of setting up Trick Room. It's not the worst bulk in the world with 85, 70, 115. So yeah, I think B plus is a fair kind of assessment for this team. I think Iron Jugglish can also work as like an offensive Pokemon if you give it like Life Orb or Choice Spec, something cool like that, or even like booster special attack running it that way. You could make it kind of a surprising attacker instead of just like, oh, he's going to click Tailwind, you know. Okay, and I think you did pretty well on the type matchups here too. Going on to the Salt Lake City Stalwarts, run by Mike Titan. I think this team has cool aura, but honestly not great synergy together. You can disagree with me on this one. I feel like I'm flexible on my rating on this, because there is very good Trick Room mode. Like, having Iron Hands, Mimikyu, and Bronzong together gives you really, really, really good odds of getting Trick Room up. And Iron Hands is a good Trick Room sweeper. It's not doing as much damage as it was in Reg G and Rega I, when you could have Electric Terrain up pretty effectively with Miraidon. But you've got other good options too on this team, like Mudsdale is really good in the right matchups. Vivian is a redirection Pokemon with Friend Guard, so you get Focus Sash and you can at least help your Pokemon live 2 hits and help your Iron Hand survive some extra turns as well. I think the bottom set of Pokemon are just, besides like Houndoom, are just not very high impact. Mismagius can like, having 3 Trick Room setters on the team is just kind of excessive. I think Miss Magius is probably the biggest candidate to leave on this team, maybe besides Go-Go, because you're not, like, you're already really good on your matchup against Grass-type Pokemon, so you don't really get much out of Sipper. And Glaceon, like, you don't have a really reliable way of getting Snow Up either. Does Vivian get, I feel like Vivian maybe gets Snowscape for whatever reason. Nope, it does not. I don't know why I would have thought that. And you kind of need Snow for Glaceon, I don't know. I think Cyclizar is probably like the most interesting pick on this team, because getting Shed Tail with Regenerator is pretty cool. And you have some options for like kind of running a more bulky team with Mudsdale, Bronzong, and having Friend Guard and Vivian too. I think it would be really cool to see that Pokemon succeed, but like this is the kind of team, like if you can not allow Trick Room to get up, this team really, really, really struggles, because the Pokemon that are fast and would take advantage of a Tailwind mode just are not that strong, and then everything else that is that strong is not fast enough to be a Tailwind Pokemon. Going into the Denver Duos run by Alas, give it B+. It does hit a lot of the basics, and pretty good type matchup spread. Like, you're just barely weak on Fairy, and you're pretty weak on Fire on this kind of team too, but like Garchomp deals really well with the Fire type Pokemon. You can obviously just like hit Disquake, and opponents like can prep against that, and like the right team will have the right tools against it, but not everyone will. Rotom Frost can also sit next to Garchomp, and you can have like ground and ice attacks hitting like for really, really good coverage. Scovillain, also really interesting Pokemon on this team, being able to redirect and also do like spicy extract and fun stuff like that. Riolu with coaching is a really good supporter to Garchomp. Klefki, honestly, like one of the best draft Pokemon, I think, overall, all time. One of the Pokemon that I didn't mention that I draft almost every time in Draft League is Klefki, because it's like Sableye, a very great Swiss Army knife with Prankster. You could do, I did, what was I doing? I was playing against, it was when I was talking about Terraghost Hydreigon walling Ursaluna. I was playing against, I forget who it was, but someone in CPDL, and I had that plus Klefki that had Misty Terrain, so they couldn't get Guts up, and they were walled by Hydreigon. It was a real fun time. Anyway, Flamigo I think is a really interesting Pokemon too on this kind of team. I think it's really good in the format that Golden Go is really good in. And in this kind of thing, like when they're playing against Spooky Squirtle is going to find a Terror type that does well into Flamigo, or they're going to be able to find some way around it, but it still like forces your opponent to think a certain kind of way. Mental damage, you know. Spiritomb is also like a pretty good Trick Room setup Pokemon, especially with like how even the type matchup is across the board. I think your only fake out option is, or I put no fake out here, but Tinkaton does get fake out. Maybe not the best Pokemon that you want clicking fake out next to your Spiritomb on the turn that you're setting up Trick Room, but could be worse for sure. Yeah, I think those are good options on this team, and I think this has pretty good shots. Like, if people aren't prepared enough for Disquake, or if they're over-indexed on preparing for Disquake and get wrecked by something else, they're going to have a bad time. Moving on to, I think, the last D-tier, probably the lowest rating team across both leagues is the Koni Cats, run by Turquoise Yoshi. This team felt like first glance that it should be pretty good, and I could be wrong, but I just the tight matchup spread is really, really bad on this team. You're very weak to Fairy. You're very weak to a bunch of other types that are really common offensively, like Water, Ice, Fighting, and Ground. And you've got some immunities here and there too. Being weak to Dragon is like kind of difficult, honestly. I think like if you have a Dragon type Pokemon on a Draft League team, you generally want at least like one Fairy type Pokemon, or at least another like Steel type or something to switch out of moves. But like, and Tatsugiri without Dondozo is just, not to be corny, but it's a fish out of water. it's not going to be that effective supported by the other pieces on this team. I think Tyranitar and Crocodile is a cool pairing, like having Intimidate with Tyranitar, but like the type overlap is really too high there. Fungus is a good Pokemon paired with the right Pokemon too. Garganacl and Tyranitar, like, yeah, you could be really, really specially bulky, but like if you're facing a Steel-type Pokemon, you're still not doing all that much without Low Kick on Tyranitar. Phalanx is a weird, interesting Pokemon, and Strudel can kind of do a lot of the same stuff that Grafaiai can do. It's just, it's shittier still. Rotom Fan is not that useful. Probably not the worst. It's not the worst C tier option that there was. And Cryogonal being the best D tier is like definitely a help too. But I think trades could totally save this team. I think if you get Tatsugiri out of there, you probably get Garganacl out of there too. Then this is definitely a more workable team. But like, with all of the weaknesses that you have across the board, your opponent's gonna have a hard time finding like not having any options, you know. So then going into the overall rankings, I'll leave these up on the screen. Now I'll talk more about the Aura, the team name ranking. I thought Eugene Archeops, maybe I don't get the joke. I didn't get that one. Washington Super Hot Fire is a great name. Awesome, love that one. Denver Duat is good too because I like Duat, cool Pokemon. And Pittsburgh Pixies is pretty funny too. I like that one. I think favorite's got to be Washington Super Hot Fire. Good on you, Cozy, for that one. And the rest kind of just like don't hit it for me. But overall, like, I think really good drafts on this side of the league too. I know that I left like a slide that people do. Q&A hater time. But yeah, I had a really good time going over this draft review. I started a new job recently, so I haven't had as much time to go through all of the draft. Like, I did a lot of my my writing this doc and taking notes and stuff today when I had time. But it was really fun doing the draft. I feel like a lot of people got some cool ideas. I think there's a lot of really interesting like strategies that came out of people's drafts. Really surprised that there are 2 snow teams that were drafted overall. But there's a lot of cool Pokemon that I would really like to see succeed. I still do think I got like an actually really good draft, despite the fact that I traded a lot of my Pokemon. But yeah, I think I really appreciate time. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you sticking around and watching it, because it's always fun to do this, and it's always helpful for me too, and I think for other people to think about how these teams might play going into the league. Oh, hello, Mike. And I do want to say thank you too to the people running the league. I know it's not the easiest job in the world, but we all have a lot of fun playing these draft leagues, so I always appreciate the work that people put into doing that too. I don't think I have another slide after this, and I don't want to click in it. What is it? Yeah, it's not gonna do anything. But yeah, I think like I don't think I had changed my mind too much on my ratings of each of the teams in this draft. I think like there were a couple that I was maybe too harsh on, but none that I think I really overrated, you know, at least in a way that I noticed retrospectively. But yeah, I am planning on streaming the matches. Like I'd asked in the league if they were if this was a cart league. I understand this is like a primarily showdown league, so if that's a primary option, I'll play on showdown. I like streaming and playing in cart just because it kind of looks nicer, but I have no problem playing showdown, of course. I think they're pretty fair. Laughing, trying to scramble, picking up hands after you dropped it. I mean, yeah, it's a really good Pokemon. It just wasn't right for my team, honestly. And I think, like, let me go back to your team. I think it's a much better pick for your team, for sure. First match of the season happening right now. Ooh, where is that happening? Where's Discord? Live links. Ooh, okay. Maybe we do a little bit of... I don't know that I have time to like really watch the whole thing and talk about it, but we can kind of sit and watch it together a little bit. Who do we got here? I'm assuming this is Pokemon and Beer, given it's Kung Fu and Beer. Let's pull up the Draft League doc. So we got... No. Wait. Who had the... Oh, it's Portland Bidoof, Mikey. Okay. Mikey versus the one that had Mr... Not Mischievous. Okay. Mikey versus Omega. Oh, I guess I probably could have looked at the message. Omega versus Mikey. Let's go. I was really excited to see this team play because I had a lot of success with Florges. I don't like its design as a Pokemon, but I think it's really good in draft. I love Azumarill, love Arcanine. A lot of cool Pokemon going on. And yeah, like you gotta bring Sylveon and Chi-Yu every time. I think there's a really strong Trick Room mode on this side of the team too. I mean, obviously sitting here with Slowbro and Miss Magius. Ooh, Focus Sash on Miss Magius is pretty nice. Skill Swap. Ooh, huge power Slowbro? No way. Oh my god. Okay, so we got huge power Slowbro. What? I mean, 75 attack stat when doubled? Maybe Slowbro. Alright. Let's do some calcs. What does it get? It has huge power. I guess it kind of just wanted to take that insane week 1. Oh my god, this is kind of like the after party, yeah. Having Hydreigon on the field in front of the Sylveon in Trick Room, that's not a good position to be in. I forgot this from Terra. Oh man. Showdown Mobile. I don't know, we're not playing Showdown Mobile. Does that give you your type magic when you hover over your mons? Yeah, this is like an extension I have, just to make it a little bit easier. I know my type matchup chart, I promise. Whew, that was a lot of damage. That looked like some... Oh, that was Citrus Berry. Interesting. Oh, okay. He's... Yeah, he ate one of those. He was not going to be eating that Draco Meteor, though, that's for sure. He did a lot of recoil damage to that Arcanine, that's for sure. Terrifier, Hydreigon, not too surprising, but now you're weak to Dark-type moves. And this... Chi-Yu, my laptop. Maybe it's running an Iron Ball. I don't know. Either way, like it's possible for this to be slower than both of these two Pokemon. Ooh, big hyper voice. Snarl. Oh. Ooh, pretty bulky on this. Focus Energy. Yeah. I mean, it does look like the Chi-Yu's probably running a bit of speed. That's for sure. If it's a Choice Scarf set, this actually could be pretty rough for Omega here. The floor just being a really strong physical wall. I know that like Sylveon's +1 on both ends, but I don't know. I don't know how that phrase is spelled. P-U. I have never thought about how P-U is spelled, but now I have. My Duolingo is yelling at me. Alright, so we just let Chi-Yu go down. I guess that makes sense. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I think Mikey takes this. A Draining Kiss. Like, what does Miss Magis do? It's a special attacker. It's clicking Shadow Ball, but Florges is at +1 and 154 base special attack or base special defense. Yeah, and it's faster. Oh, he's trying to click Trick Room again, or is? Ooh, okay. Both running leftovers on their fairy types with Calm Mind. Yeah, this is the current match going on right now. I'm kind of casting over it, which is fun. Ooh, yawn on the Sylveon. That's big. Yeah, you can keep clicking Calm Mind, but so can Sylveon. Now, Sylveon could just, like, do it again, too. Or you can click Hyper Voice. It'd be kind of funny if Hyper Voice woke up sleeping targets. Yeah. Alright, the yawn really changed things up. I think that changed the game quite a bit. Azumarill going down on the turn it did. It was pretty rough too. Now we're moving on to game 2. I mean, if this is 2-0, then I'll sit and wait for the 2. It's definitely faster to watch Showdown games, that's for sure. Hold on, let me look. Alright, going into game 2, I mean, Slowbro went down, I think, a little earlier than Omega would have liked to, but I think it was pretty well played. Fleur just didn't end up sweeping the way it was supposed to, just because Sylveon had Yawn, so that was a really, really good team building moment right there. I have timer. Like, what does Mikey do here? Do I have the names backwards? No. Yeah, what does Mikey do here to kind of adjust? I'm interested to see. Okay. Well, now here you kind of force Slowbro to go Terra Grass, and the value of having Venonat on the field has gone down quite a bit. You can click Sleep Powder with Compound Eyes into the not Bronzong, what the fuck is it called? Magnezone here. I don't know, does Breloom get, like, Taunt or any other way? Or I guess you can't because it's Oblivious on the Slowbro. I mean, it's definitely very, very, very good odds right now of Trick Room going up is what I can say. And Magnezone does threaten, yeah, it kind of forces Slowbro to go Terra Grass. Yeah, you can go Volt Switch out, and then probably go into maybe Azumarill, maybe Florges, whatever your slow Pokemon. Arcanine, interesting. Ooh. Did not know that Venonat gets Disable. It's good to know considering I have Venonat on my team. What other cool moves does Venonat get? We're finding out live. Venonat. Get Morning Sun. Arcanine looking like a Braun in a G League match right now. Man, if I knew basketball, that would be funny probably. Skill Swap. Rage Powder, Morning Sun, Tom Pass. Yeah. Substitute Toxic Spikes, Confuse Ray, Poison Powder. There's some stuff there. I mean, Sleep Powder is always good. Bullet Seed, no, he's got the loaded dice. Wait, does he? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 probably. Yeah, now you get the Trick Room up. That was smart, delaying the Trick Room 1 turn. Now I feel like this is a much stronger position. Like, the Fire type on Arcanine is sure, like, gonna resist the Hyper Voice, but I feel like you're so threatened you might just want to switch it out into something else. And that gives, yeah, Slowbro a turn to maybe just click Scald into it, get some damage off. Skill Swap takes Analytic. Interesting. I don't think Analytic really helps you no matter what in that situation, because you're kind of, you're not moving last because Breloom is moving last, and you're not moving first, for sure. At least I don't think so. Yeah, no, you're not, because of Slowbro. Doesn't get struggle bug despite looking like a bug that often struggles. It doesn't get struggle bug? That's a crime. It does get struggle bug. What are you talking about? You get struggle bug. Oof, big damage. Yeah, Sylveon eats those. It did pretty well. I mean, it's at +1 special defense, but like 130 base. It's really strong. Yeah, I think Omega's in a really strong position here. It's even on Pokemon count, but Magnezone took a lot of damage from that. Arcanine comes back out. It doesn't have Intimidate, notably. So this is either Justified or Flash Fire. I'm thinking because he's facing off against Chi-Yu, it's probably Flash Fire, which is an interesting idea, but like doesn't really help you against the Chi-Yu. You're gonna get a boost to your fire damage, but like, what does that do for you? Do you think? Not often. Being called a fun guy, the mushroom equivalent of being called a nice guy. I don't know. Could be. Alright, really want these next turns to happen. It's getting kind of late. It's Friday, but I'm old. Body Press takes down the Magnezone there. Ooh. I am pretty surprised that Sylveon lived that. I really thought it was just going straight down. Azumarill on the field. I think I remember, yeah, from the other game that Azumarill does underspeed the Sylveon, so it's gonna be faster in Trick Room when you're at work and the customer's like, if you don't scan it, it means a free rate, har. Ugh. Yo, that is the worst. I used to work at Best Buy. I worked at a bunch of different retail stores. I worked at like Best Buy, PC Richard. I worked in like a souvenir shop at Six Flags. Like, they always say shit like that. So annoying. Yeah, it was Flash Fire. Let's go! Flash Fire on the Slowbro. He's gonna be immune. You can still hit him with extreme speed, I guess, but now he's asleep and he's immune to fire. That's crazy. Customer covered herself in vinegar. Taco Bionicle. I love Bionicles. I was obsessed with that shit. Flash Fire Slowbird dies to play rough circuit. I don't know. There's always the chance that play rough misses. That defense drop probably mattered a little bit. I mean, we do know that Sylveon is faster than the Azumarill, yeah, this game's going to Omega. Very well played. Really put yourself in the right positions. Took advantage of Trick Room when you needed it. Very well played. Good first game of the season, and we got skill swap Slowbro with Flash Fire. It was cool. If only it procced Flash Fire, that would have been really fun. That would have been really funny. GG, well played to both sides. I think now that I've gone a bit over time because we watched that, I think I'm going to end stream for now, but thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Like I said, thank you to the coaches and people, or not coaches, to the people running the league for doing your job. Really excited to play, really excited to see all the fun ideas that people have for their teams. And it's already getting off to a good start. So I'm going to close things out now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time when I play against AOX my first week.